Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. Hope you're doing well. As you can see behind me, the big shallow, it's finally planted. I'm super excited about it. In this video we're going to go through the entire planting process. So I'll show you guys exactly which plants I used, why I used them and where I've placed them in the aquarium. And of course show you guys the end result. So let's get started. So first of all, the plants for this layout were actually sponsored. They were sponsored by Danila Plants. I'm super grateful to have Danila sponsor these plants for me. I'll leave their website in the description box below. Definitely do check that out. So after unpacking all of the plants, it was time to roll up the sleeves and really get to work, because I ordered a lot of plants and they all need to be cleaned and prepared properly. So I first started cleaning all the regular potted plants. Basically because these plants have been grown immersed, they're a little bit more robust and they won't dry out as quickly as in vitro plants, for example. They're a bit more fragile, and so I saved them till last. Whenever I'm cleaning potted plants, I usually don't just grab them by the leaves and start pulling them out of the pot. I actually put a set of tweezers inside the rock wool and sort of push them out like that. This way it's just a bit safer for the plants, you don't really damage the leaves. And I think this is a tip that I got from Yuri's actually. It's just a bit safer for the plants and you don't damage them as quickly. And yeah, after that you just remove as much of the rock wool as possible with your hands. And if there's anything left over, I either use a pincet or I use a fork. Fork works really well for this as well. You've all seen this plenty of times already, so I don't need to explain it to you guys. Let's cue the time lapse. One thing I did want to say about the potted plants. These pots, guys, they were so full, like especially the hair grass. You couldn't even see the rock wool anymore, that's how full these pots were. So yeah, great quality, great quantity from Danila Plants. Definitely check them out. So after I was done preparing all the potted plants, it was time to move on to the in vitro. And all the in vitro plants that I chose actually all had the gel type medium in the cup. So these are always a little bit more tricky to clean. But what I always do is I just prepare a small bowl with some lukewarm water. And then I just remove the plant from the cup. I drop it in that lukewarm water, and that already makes the gel a little bit more softer, so it's easier to remove. And after they were all cleaned, I prepared them into small portions, especially the foreground plant, which will be Glossostigma. And the reason why I chose Glossostigma, because I've actually never grown a full carpet with Glossostigma just yet. So I'm very curious to see how this plant will grow, how small the leaves will be, and how often I will have to trim it. Now, I did not keep track of time, but it definitely took me a couple hours to prepare all of these plants. And I made sure to keep them nice and moist in between some wet paper towels. Alright, so I had all the plants prepared. Now you guys saw in the last video that I actually filled the aquarium up with water. Just to start cycling the aquarium while we were waiting for the plants anyway. Since then I've actually done one very large water change, almost 100%. Just to get rid of some of the excess nutrients that were being released by the soil. But now it's time to drain the aquarium so we can start planting. So the first plant to go in is of course the Glosso, as this one will basically cover, I would say, 60% of the entire surface area. So I first started planting them quite far apart, just to mark the entire area and just make sure that the entire area would be at least somewhat covered already. By the time I was done with that, I still had a lot of portions left, so I started planting more densely. And yeah, so we hopefully should have a thick carpet quite quickly, and the soil shouldn't be visible anymore. Right, now I'll go through the plants a bit more quick. In the background I actually used a lot of grass, hair grass. I actually used 3 different types. So I used Eleocharis pusilla, which is the shortest one. Also Eleocharis acicularis, which is the medium sized. And Eleocharis vivipara, which is the really tall hair grass. And I've planted them in a way that as you move closer towards the back and towards the middle, the grasses just gets taller and taller, you know. And later on we can actually enhance that effect with trimming the plants. So we should get a nice, a nice V shape almost. Now if I really wanted a classic iwagumi, I probably should have stopped there with the plants, you know, Glosso stigma in the front, hair grass in the back. I think that's almost classic iwagumi. But that's not me, I cannot stick to just 2 types of plants. So I'm gonna add a few more species. So after I was done with the Glosso and the hair grass, I planted 3 different types of crypts. Some really small, tiny crypt greens. First one is the Crypt Lutea Hobbit. This one is, I think that's the tiniest crypt on the planet. Super tiny, really cute leaves. And the second one is a bit more popular, the Crypt Parva. And I've also used Crypt Green Venetiae Compact. But this one actually cut off all of the leaves because they were quite big. So I only planted the roots into the substrate. If I would not have trimmed those leaves, they probably would have started melting in the aquarium anyway. And now that I've cut off all the leaves, the plant can start growing back with new, very tiny submerged leaves. Now the idea with these small crypts is that they will add a bit more detail to the foreground and basically break up the Glosso carpet a bit, just to make it more interesting. And I actually want to do the same in the background where we have the hair grass. So in between the hair grass I also planted Juncus repens. I think that's how I pronounce it. This is also a plant that looks a little bit like grass, but it has a different green color and the leaves are a bit more broad also. So the leaves are a bit different shape. And I think this will just make it a bit more natural, a bit more wild as well. All the plants that I've used so far are really green. Apart from that small crypt, the Lutea Hobbit, that one will become a bit more red brownish. So I was thinking to add a bit more color to the scape, to the layout. And for that I've used Helantium tenellum red. So this is like a red carpeting plant. It's really interesting. I've also used it in the 70-liter scapers tank. I really like this plant. There's not many red carpeting plants. I'm not sure if it's gonna work in this layout. Maybe I should have just kept it all green, but if that's the case, then I can always remove it later. I'm adding one more plant. This is the last one, guys, I promise. One more plant is the Hydrocotyl tripartita mini. I've wanted to use this plant for a long time, but it was always only available in the ADA in vitro range. And that's a bit hard to get here in the Netherlands, and it's not always for sale in the places that do have it. So recently, actually, this plant was added to the in vitro range of dandelion plants. So when I saw that, I just had to use this plant as well, and I think it will look nice in this layout. Right now the leaves are so tiny. I'm not sure if it's gonna stay like this or they're gonna grow a little bit bigger, but they're so tiny, so cute. I think they'll really look nice in this layout. There is one more plant, guys. Sorry, this really is the last one. In between the 2 big rocks, I've also planted UG, Utricularia graminifolia. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is a plant that I've never used before, and I've heard a lot of horror stories about it, but my other significant half really wanted me to use it, and I was also curious to test it basically. So we'll see if it works or not. If it doesn't work, I can always replace it with more glossostigma. Now, one thing that I'm still not really sure about is the rocks. I think I mentioned it in the previous video that my idea was to have some moss on the rocks. But now I'm sort of hesitating. I'm not sure if that's a good idea. So I would like to ask you guys that question. What do you guys think? Should I add some moss to the rocks or just leave them naked? So let me know in the comments. I was thinking maybe some Ricardia moss, or I also have some Boost moss. This is a really rare moss, very small. Or I have some weeping moss. So should I add one of those 3 mosses, or should I leave it completely bare? Let me know in the comments. So yeah, that's it guys, the big shallow is finally planted. I'm really happy with the end result, and I can't wait to see how the scape is going to look in a few weeks from now. I hope you guys like the scape as well. If you like the scape, make sure you smash the like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done this yet. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.